All right, all you devils, how we doing today? Here we are, Tuesday, the 3rd of December, kind of middle of the day here, and clear standout in the polling was Apple. So now we've been through this a couple of times before, but despite that, I always like to bring it up and just start with a blank chart, see if there's any changes in the count. I just want a fresh look at it here. So we're all the way back to, we got to go back to all of our history here. I think our low is 20 cents here. So, excuse me, as it would relate to, anything specific to what's happening here in terms of trade opportunities. Now, I'm out here on a weekly because we've got so much data. I think for our purposes here, this when is this? 2012 high. I've got this as our 1-2 coming down here, and then we've gone 1-2. So here's the 2016 low. Here's the beginning of the last major low in the S&P. This is the beginning of the Trump era. So I'm going to work from this low here on the assumption we've gone 1-2. All right, so I've got a set of median lines up here. Now, of course, this has gone so far that it certainly would make sense to look at this in log scale, where we can see the wave separation just a little bit better. See, and you can also see a perfect golden, I don't think this was golden. I think it was a 707. But we get our corner here goes to the tick. It's remarkable, right? There should be no surprise that we're going to trade very technically in Apple. Just nothing but algo trading in here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that plays as our 1-2. Now, of course, it distorts to your eye when we're looking at it here in log scale. So this being the 2 that I was just talking about, and this is the 1-2. Here's the 2016. Now off we go. So let's take this one off just to declutter the chart, and then I'm going to focus in here, and we'll bring it back here. Now I'm going to come out of log scale for this range here. So coming from this 1-2. All right. So now. Let's see here. Let's go to a daily. Well, maybe not. Here, let's try the 3-day. We'll just kind of keep it in context here because we have so much data. Okay, so off of this low, if I get you right on that. Okay, 1-2. Anyone want to guess what's there? All right, so off of the low here. All right, so up we go. Now the initial 1-2. We hold the 50 here. We don't quite get to the 60. We don't quite get to golden zone. We've got this. It does look like we've got to go into an A, B, C to get down here. But then we start the major rip. So our low down here is 90, and we pivot up here at 233. And there does seem to be a clear impulse within the midst of that. So I think we can start doing some projections here and start using some of the fib relationships here to help guide us in terms of where we're labeling waves. So if I get right on this here, so length of the proposed 1 into the 2. Now, of course, no surprise here. So here's the high probability zone for our wave 3. So that's just not a big stretch here to think, if that's 1-2 and we're past the upper parallel here, but we're going right into the pocket. So at that degree, since I can also get a clear impulse here, this seems like a reasonable place to, until proven otherwise or forced to move it. That's a solid place for your 3rd, just off of that wave relationship and the fact that I get that clear impulse here. So I think that's solid. So wicking off here, right? This one, all wicked off here. Now this is a very deep 4. No question about it. So we got to look at that and say, okay, well, we don't overlap the 1. There's not a lot of structure to it, right? There were times where you're back here looking at this going, boy, what strikes you more as an A wave here, but with what's followed, we're kind of stuck with this. Now, granted, I'm out here on a 3-day. But looking at that, so of course we're going to start checking for swing relationships here. So we go swing high, swing low. From the low here to this, we come right to the 50. Now, but we're also going to want to check from the 2. What do we see here, right? This should surprise exactly 0 people. All right, so look what we've just done here. Golden zone to target. I mean, really, like after, I don't know, I probably should have shown this 3,000 times, I'd guess. So we're over 1,000 videos. There's 2, 3, 4 of them in every video. I mean, in Apple, really, that's surprising. I probably not. All right, so there's a little bit more in here as well. So from it's 1, 2, 3. I know. So Elliott purist, right? It's just tough to adhere at this degree to get a, you're not getting a nice A, B, C in here. But of course, an algorithm doesn't give a shit. It doesn't care about an Elliott count, right? We just work right to a golden zone, right to target. Now look what happens here. We get the reaction. So that's how we know it's an algorithm, right? We don't have to wonder what's happened here, right? Now, I'm still out here on the 3-day because, of course, we have wave subdivision within that as well. So I'm going to pull this one. Here, let's just hide that one. Let's get you hidden. Okay, so let's go back. I'm still on a 3-day. Let's go to the daily here, which is where always, right? You want to do your analysis here. Or certainly for swing trading, right? You would not want to ignore the daily. So here's our perfect swing out of the golden zone where we've just now tagged that target. But looking at that, you might think, oh, well, I got more retracements in here. Do I even need to draw this up? Assuming members have all already done this. So what do we get here? Another golden zone, right? Just a little shy. If I'm right on it. Just shy of getting into the golden zone, we tag the 618 to the tick. Now that is kind of interesting. So we go golden zone, just literally straight up. The only retrace, again, it's very narrow retrace, but you can get the ABC in there. We just touch the 618 and then upward we go again, right? So we get another here. Now this, because I've got the golden zone here, I've got a set up here for, well, you know what I'm going to put here. So we've got well, that's not the one I want. Where are you? Is it this one? Yeah, there we go. Okay, so take a look at what happens here. Let's see. So we're just hitting this one. This is the secondary golden zone. So this is third target for that. So I get a textbook. Like can't Photoshop them. Like there's the first tag, right? So I've got a golden corner pocket here. So I do, right? We do have a golden corner here as well. We'll come back to visit that. But as we go 1, 2, again, golden, here's the tick. It's to the tick, right? And then that's the retrace, right? Now that actually ends up being a 50. So we go here. After tagging the median line on the 1, we come down. Now it's interesting. We catch the corner of the median lines, the Vegas wave, and we go just a couple of ticks through the 50, and then that rips up. Now that's just about hitting third target here. I know this gets to be a lot of lines here, but I want you to see how we've got golden zone, 50. Now we've just hit targets as we return to the median line. Can this get any more technical? I mean, I'm not that our way is the only way to trade this, but for our methodology, I literally, like, I can't make this shit up. Like it's so perfect. It almost looks like, oh, come on, man, it can't be that precise. Can't be. There it is, staring you right in the face, right? So if this is 3, 4, and we've gone 1, 2, 1, 2, sure looks like I've got a contender for a third here. So let's clear some of this up here. I know it's just impossible to see what's going on in here. But this would be a good exercise for all of you to do as well. So we got another 1 here. A couple of 1s we got to wick off. So just to keep an eye on them. All right, these can come back into play. So this, we'll just wick this off as potentially some support. Not to confuse it with a one-wave high, but clearly there's some structure. You can probably just bring that down here to get both of those pivots here. So we've got an area of support. So if this is going to come down, which certainly it's starting now, given we got some volatility today, but here, it's not. Apple's not collapsing here. So from 1, 2, now we're thinking 1, 2, 3. Well, again, same concept, guys. Same thing every time, right? So we go 1, we go down to our 2. How do we look here? Well, we're coming just shy of the 1618. So, it looks like there's certainly the possibility here that we haven't peaked up here. We could just be doing this before coming up to get that. Because if we go 1, 2, it doesn't look, it's a little gnarly to get a clear impulse out of there. Let's see if we've got any help down here in the oscillators. So this, per this 1, 2, so here's the 2 coming back down to 0, and then this would be the 3 retracing here. Certainly could be. That's a pretty good move here. So we're down to 257 from a high of 268. So it's like the broader market. We're having a little weakness today, but that's certainly at this point in time, because of all the technical confluence was right there, right? The larger golden zone that we just looked at here, I'm going to plant the 3 here relative to this 1, 2, because it makes sense within the context of the entire thing. But if we think about the next degree higher, we go 1, 2 here. All right, so if this is 1, 2, well, let's put them back to back. So we got 1 degree stacked on the 2nd degree. All right, so neither one is coming. They're both stalling. Actually, it's this kind of characteristic. I'll show you this in a couple of the swings here, where we're going 1, 2, 7, 1, 3, 2 box. All right, so if it's not going to get 1, 6, 1, 8, and this can be, often you'll find that assets will have a tendency to repeat those characteristics. So if we're not getting to the 1, 6, 1, 8, 1, 7, 5, the 2, 7, 2, 1, 3, 8 very commonly will be what the market is responding to. So again, nothing says we can't just do a little retrace here and be back up into some of those pivots, because that actually looks like a slightly cleaner count of the internal here. But until we see it, we just got to look at this and go, all right, I can kind of make sense of what I see here. And then of course, look how we're just hugging the median line now as we push away from it. So with some reasonable targets up here, and recognizing that these could be, this wave 3 could move again, I think we can start the retraces. So working from at the interior level here at the lower degree. So looking for home for our 4 here. If we're going to come down between the 23 and the 38, this would be getting, God damn it, most annoying feature of trading. This would be a little deeper here, but wouldn't invalidate. We're not threatening the 1. If we were going to come down to this structure here, it's going to mean a deeper sell-off. So the market will be, right, this will be reflected in the indexes if Apple's going to get that weak and come back to 235. But I'd be looking for any signs of strength as we come back and catch this parallel here. Right now, there's no reason to go to any of the exterior runners. So depending on when we get here, right, we get a time element with median lines. Any sort of little retrace here, you got to consider that as potentially a buying opportunity, right? I mean, it doesn't look like we're done. We'd have a potential 4 into the 5 here that would get us back up into the 1, 6, 1, 8, the larger degree. So then this 3, right, do you follow me? This 3 would be in sync with this box. So we'd have 1, 2, 3. So this would be the 5 at that degree. So we can just kind of lay it out. Now we don't know that it's going to follow this, but it makes sense to have at least have a roadmap here. Let me scrunch up a bit here. We can get all of our loose. All right, 4, potentially 5 up here. This would, oh, God damn it. God, I wish they would fix that. There we go, 5, and then potentially there's the 3 up here at that degree. So you got to put them somewhere. So you just kind of put them off up and above, recognizing that, we just kind of lay them in place. We don't know that we're going to follow this, but at least it gives us a framework to start from. Right now, it's just, straight up. So a little retracement here. I mean, it's hard not to see this retracement as potentially an opportunity. I mean, we've got 10 years of market history to influence us in terms of that decision-making process. I know it gets so high, you think, oh my gosh, it can't. I mean, how much market manipulation can we tolerate here before the market just collapses? But until it starts, right now, I guarantee, I mean, there's just the powers that be, right? Oh, that's one way to say it, right? So there's so much vested interest in seeing this continue, right? And they're so committed to it that they almost have no way out of this. And by they, I mean central bankers. They almost have no way out of it. They just got to keep the thing going. They got to keep going. At some point, we're going to see a bust, the likes of which we haven't seen in a while. But right now, until that starts, you have to just stay with the trend. I mean, shit, you want to sell into this? Really, the only question is, when's the next opportunity to be a buyer? Right now, if you're a buyer, given the nosebleed section we're in, you sure as hell going to put a stop on it. Or depending on how you're trading, maybe you're trading with options, right? You want to have a point where you go, okay, this trade is wrong. But right now, I wouldn't even, I think selling up here is a suicide mission. Why? Why would you do that? The Elliott count doesn't support it. It's just a relentless uptrend. I just don't see any reason why to even be thinking about shorting this. I mean, I mean, maybe very short term some stuff, right? We're getting a pickup in volatility, so maybe some of the out money puts in calls here, but I don't know that I'd want to be delta neutral on this. I'd want to be waiting. If this thing starts to come down and we get a little chance to buy some discounted calls, right? I mean, if this is me, I would let this come down here. The calls will be cheaper, volatility will be increasing, so it's relative. But if I came down to this range where I could buy between the 38 and the 50, somewhere in that range, I'll tell you what I would do. I would, well, let me get that off of there. I would sell out of the money calls underneath this wave, underneath this golden zone, and I would use that to pay for, pardon me, I would sell out of the money puts down here in a spread. So I would sell the nearby, nearest to the golden zone put, and then I'd sell, depending on what they were paying, I'd put this in a spread so it was hedged just in case this thing started to come down. You weren't naked down here, but I would use that credit spread here to offset the cost of the at the money calls. And if this started to rip higher, well, you always have the option of adding a second call, so you get a collared spread there. So you'd use this to help offset this, then you'd sell this to so you'd be essentially in a free trade. Now we're getting into some option stuff, but which was kind of beyond what we typically are talking about here. But that's how I would do it. I mean, the other choice is let it come down here. Now, of course, if we see that kind of drop in price, volatility increases on both sides. So if you're going to keep it simple and buy a call, you don't want to buy out of the money calls when you have an increase in volatility. You want to buy in the money calls, but you got to pay that. You pay a premium for that. So, but you don't get burned by the time decay should the market just decide to go sideways through the holidays. So I would be cautious about that. Anyway, so I'm kind of digressing into some option strategy here, but I this question, right? How are you going to get leverage on this? All right, so I mean that would be the way to get yourself some leverage, is to use some options on this. But careful if you don't have a lot of experience doing that, right? You can get yourself in trouble in a hurry. But right now, as far as I'm concerned, all that's happening here is we're looking for a holiday sale on Apple. So any weakness that comes down here has to be considered a buying opportunity until proven otherwise, right? I mean, we come down here, we get a 4, you buy it. If you get stopped out, well, maybe something else is happening. If we get a failure swing here, if this goes deeper, if we start to do something like this, we get beyond this golden zone, we overlap that one, we overlap this one, we start coming down here, all right, now we're rethinking the whole thing. But right now, I don't see, there's just nothing technically to suggest, oh, time to be a seller, just because we've got some volatility here. I mean, this is just, God knows what's causing this, right? It could just be Trump doing what he's doing. There's lots of this. One day does not a trend reversal make. So I'd be cautious about thinking of what a great opportunity to sell Apple. I would suggest quite the contrary. If we get the opportunity down here, what a great opportunity to buy Apple. Be my thought. All right, so it's not a terribly complicated count, right? It's just lots of 1, 2, 1, 2, and every retracement's been technical. So why would you assume this wouldn't be? I would. I think this is just happy holidays right there. Okay, guys, back to you. We'll do a couple more.